Today's lesson we are reviewing adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing whole numbers, fractions, and decimals. I 100% expect this to be reviewed for every single person here. However, you are learning reviewing how to do it as if you aren't using the calculator to solve. You can use the calculator to check your work. I expect you to use the calculator to check your work, but I also expect you to show your work. So I do expect you to show your work. So, a couple things to review before we get started. So of course, arithmetic is the basic four operations: adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. Now, if you're copying the notes down, don't feel that you have to copy this word for word. Make sure you copy enough so that you know what you're doing. So, as far as key terms go, final answer for addition is called the sum. So if you're copying these notes, you could put a plus sign, sum. So that should tell you that if you're adding, that means sum. Subtracting, the answer is called the difference. Multiplying is the product. Division, quotient. So instead of writing all the words out, this is the short form of it. So now what we're going to start with are whole numbers. So working with whole numbers. Again, as I mentioned, this should be reviewed for a lot of people. For some, it's not that you don't know how to do it. It probably is you forgot how to do it, or forgot how to do certain parts. So you just need that reminder. And I think for some of you, that's the boat that you might be in. You just need the reminder. So let's start with example 1. 568 plus 294. So we're adding. Set the numbers on top of each other, and then you're just adding. 8 plus 4, 12. 1 plus 6, 7. Plus 9, 16. 1 plus 5, 6. Plus 2, 8. Again, for some of you, it may have been a minute since you've had to do this by hand. You've probably just throw it in the calculator, that's it. But you should always know how to do something by hand, because calculators do die, batteries do fail, calculators get lost, so on and so forth. Example 2, multiplying. 102 times 39. So 102 times 39, and you do your basic computation. 2 times 9, 18. Bring down the 8, carry the 1. 9 times 0, 0, plus 1, 1. And then 9 times 1, 9. Now we multiply with the 3. Put the placeholder. 3 times 2, 6. 3 times 0, 0. 3 times 1, 3. Then we add everything up. So 3,978. I'm used to putting the comma. If you don't put the comma, that's fine. Then let's do one more example before we look at some word problems, because we will do word problems in this class. 494 divided by 25. So when you're solving this out by hand, Top number goes inside the division box. Bottom number goes outside. So top number goes in, bottom number out. Then we start dividing. So 25 doesn't divide into 4, but 25 will divide into 49 one time. 25 times 1, 25. 25 times 2, 50, too big. 1 times 25, 25. And if you subtract, get rid of this just so that it's not confused with division, you get 24. Bring down your 4, and you keep going. 25 goes into 244. Let's see, 9 times. So somebody do 25 times 9. Tell me what it is. Hopefully you got a calculator sitting next to you. You can use a calculator to do that. 225. 225. And then if you subtract, you should get 19. So your answer is 19, remainder 19, or you can write it as 19 and 19 over 25. Now, your teacher in middle school may have told you to put the decimal, put a 0, and then drop it and keep going. The only real time you're going to be doing that is if you need a decimal answer. But this is fine. That's fine. All right. Questions 1, 2, or 3? Anywhere that you got stuck? Again, if you're good, nod your head, put up a thumbs up. If you're stuck on something, come off of mute and say something, or type it in the chat. Wait for a moment just to give you a chance to think about it. If not, let's do problem 4. So, problem 4. The student population of HF is 2,934, while the population of Bloom is 2,175. How many more students attend HF than Bloom? So, let me ask you, is this adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? If you were solving it out, which one would it be? A subtraction problem. Looking for how many more students, so this is subtraction. 2,934 minus 2,175. So, I can't take 5 from 4, so I have to borrow. 14 minus 5, 9. I can't take 7 from 2. Borrow again. 12 minus 7, 5. 8 minus 1, 7. 2 minus 2, 0. So you have 759 students. Any questions? Example 4. Sounds good to me. And example 5. You started the summer with $450 in your bank account. If you deposited, put in $779, but withdrew, took out $926. How much is now in your bank account? So, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, what am I going to do for this problem? I'm going to add and I'm going to be subtracting. I'm doing two things here. So which two numbers are going to get added? Absolutely. So 450 plus 779, 5 plus 7, 12, carry the 1. That's 1229. So now, with the 1229, what do I do with that? There you go. 1229 minus 926. So 9 minus 6, 3. 2 minus 2, 0. 12 minus 9, 3. So you have $303 left over. That's that. Problem's over. So just like that, we just reviewed whole numbers. How to work them out, did some word problems, we added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided. Any questions before we move to decimals? Whole numbers, most people don't have any problems with. Decimals, I think, are cool too. I think most of the struggle comes when that F word comes in play, called fraction. But we'll get to that in a bit. So, anyone still need this string before we switch to the next page? All right, go ahead and take a moment. Remember, this page will be uploaded to Google Classroom, so the notes aren't going anywhere. They'll be available to you forever and ever and a day. For those of you who are good, you can look at examples 6, 7, and 8 on the next page if you're looking at the notes on your screen. If you're waiting for me to pull them up, I'm going to pull them up shortly. So if you're just waiting, feel free to stand up quickly, stretch. Don't go too far, we're getting ready to keep moving, but stand up, stretch. You may have been seated all day, that's no good. Let's see, what, that looks like Shakaya fanning herself over there. Alright, let's go ahead and switch page. Tomorrow I'll make sure to come back to it if you still need it. Yes, the classwork will be posted as soon as we're done with the instruction. Alright, so decimals are next. So again, the top part reminds you of how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals. So you can read the top part yourself if you need it, but we're going to just jump right in and start solving it. So let's start with example 6. So when you're subtracting decimals, the decimal point has to be lined up. But then you just subtract the way that you normally do. 8 can't go into 6, so you need to borrow. 16 minus 8, 8. 4 minus 3, 1. 11 minus 9, 2. So 2.18. So just like that, problem's over. Example 7. Multiplying 11.4 times 2.3. So 11.4 times 2.3. So notice that I put 11.4 on top and 2.3 at the bottom. 11.4 has 3 numbers, 2.3 has 2 numbers. So now we start multiplying. 3 times 4, 12. 3 times 1, 3, plus 1, 4. 3 times 1, 3. Now we deal with the 2, put down the 0. 2 times 4, 8. 2 times 1, 2. 2 times 1, 2. Now we add them up. 2, 12, 6, 2. So, am I done with example 7? Some head nods saying no. But right, you're not done. You got to put the decimal in. So, there was 1 decimal place in 11.4. There's 1 decimal place in the 3. So there should be 2 decimal places in your answer. However many decimals you started with is what you need to end with. Decimal places just can't disappear. Alright, then let's do one more problem before we do the word problems. 39.24 divided by 9. Again, first number goes inside. Second number goes outside. So, the number outside isn't a decimal, so we can move the decimal up. We're good to go there. 9 can't go into 3. 9 can go into 39. How many times? 4 times. 4 times 9, 36. And 39 minus 36 is 3. Bring down the 2, keep it moving. 9 goes into 32 3 times. 3 times 9 is 27. 32 minus 27, 5. Bring down your 4. 9 goes into 54 6 times. 6 times 9 is 54. Subtract, you get 0. So 4.36 is your answer. Again, make sure you use your calculator. Check to make sure that 4.36 was the answer. If your calculator doesn't match, then that's telling you, all right, something's wrong. I need to fix it. Questions on 6, 7, or 8? Hopefully everything's real easy so far. Okay. First math lesson is normally the first lesson to really ease you into the class. Purpose is to start off right. Alright. There are 2 people who are getting on a carnival ride weighing 156.7 pounds and 141.8 pounds. The maximum weight limit for the ride is 300 pounds. Will they be able to get on the ride? So, for this problem, are we going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? We're going to add. So we're going to add 156.7 and 141.8. And hopefully, this number doesn't go over 300. If it does, then they can't get on this ride. So let's add. 7 plus 8, 15. And down to 5, carry a 1. 1 plus 6, 7. Plus 1, 8. 5 plus 4, 9. 1 plus 1, 2. 298.5 pounds. Can they get on this ride? Yes, barely. Yes, but barely. Gotta be real close. Alright, so example 10. You made $117 working for 12 hours for your uncle a couple weeks before school started. How much did you make per hour? So, you made $117 for 12 hours. You want to know how much you make per hour. So am I adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? This is a division problem. So here we are dividing. So we are taking 117 and dividing it by 12. So let's go ahead and do that. 12 can't go into 1. 12 cannot divide into 11. So 12 goes into 117 how many times? 9 times. 9 times 12 is 108. If we subtract, we should get 9. So now that we're working with decimals, we're not going to put remainder. Put up a decimal, throw down a 0, and we keep going. How many times will 12 go into 90? 7. 12 times 7 is 84. And 12 times 8 is 96. So 96 is too big. 7. 7 times 12, 84. 90 minus 84 is 6. So bring down another 0. Will 12 divide into 60 even? 5 times. There's your 60. Here's your 0. So you're making $9.75 per hour. I think that might be a little bit below minimum wage, though. I know they raised minimum wage a couple months ago. About $117 is not bad. Anybody want $117 right now? Somebody got some things they can do with it. All right. Any questions on decimals? All right. Take a moment, and if you need to stand up and stretch one more time, go ahead and do that before we start with fractions. Just a quick 20-second stretch. Make sure the bones are still working. make sure anyone who needs to finish copying can finish copying. Again, don't feel that you have to write the word problems word for word. This notes page is going up online as well, so it'll be there for you to get it if you need it. So, let's deal with fractions. So fractions, we have rules for multiplying, dividing, adding and subtracting if the denominator is the same, adding and subtracting if the denominators are different. We're going to tackle all of it. So let's start with problem 11. Again, if you have a question, don't be shy to ask. I want to make sure that you know what you're doing. So for problem 11, we're multiplying fractions. So multiplying fractions, we simply multiply from left to right. We're simply multiplying from left to right. So that's 5 times 7 divided by 6 times 10. 5 times 7 is 35. 6 times 10 is 60. So I can't leave it like this. So what do I have to now do to the problem? Simplify it. So always reduce. So I can divide 35 and 60 by 5. So that gives me 7 over 12. Boom, that's it, we're done. Any questions on 11? This one I'll go more one by one since I know fractions is not everybody's strong suit. Problem 12. 2 2/9 divided by 3/4. So before we start this problem, what has to change first? There you go. So we're going to take 2 2/9 and make it an improper fraction. So take the 9, multiply it times 2, and then add 2 to the answer. So 9 times 2 is 18, plus 2 is 20. I believe this was one of the types of problems on the homework from yesterday. So you have 20 over 9 divided by 3/4. Now, does anybody remember keep, change, flip? Or heard of keep, change, flip? There we go. I see a couple hands in there. So we keep the first fraction, change division to multiplication, and we flip the second fraction. So 20 times 4 is 80. 9 times 3 is 27. So now, the only thing we have to do is see if this will reduce. But 80 over 27 will not reduce. If you have a calculator that will reduce fractions for you, you can type it in there and see that this will not reduce. So this is your final answer. In algebra, you do not have to go back and make it a mixed number. You can leave that as your answer. So don't feel that you have to change it to a mixed number. But if you did it because you're used to it, the other answer is 2 and 26 over 27. If you changed it over. In high school, improper fractions are fine. So don't worry about it. As long as it's reduced, we're good. Any questions on problem 12? Nice job by everybody hanging in there. Everybody's doing a good job. But definitely, if you have a question, make sure to ask. All right, problem 13. 19 over 24 minus 5 over 8. So, can I subtract these fractions right now? No, why not? They're different denominators. So you cannot subtract until the denominators are the same. So now let's force them to be the same. So let's look at the smallest number, which is the 8. Is there anything times 8 that will give me 24? 3. So we're going to take the top and the bottom and multiply times 3. We're going to take the top and the bottom, multiply times 3. So you have 19 over 24 minus 15 over 24. Now that the denominators are the same, we can subtract. 19 minus 15 gives you 4. Always check to make sure you can reduce. Divide those by 4, and you have 1 over 6. All right. Any questions? 11, 12, or 13? Any questions? 11, 12, 13? Before we work on the last 2 word problems. All right. 14. A red velvet cake recipe requires 3/4 a cup of butter. Anybody in here like red velvet cake? Any red velvet cake lovers? So I can see that Greg loves, Alyssa loves red velvet cake. How much butter will you need to make 7 cakes? So, would this be an adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing problem? What do you think? 3/4 of a cup for a recipe. This is multiplication. So 1 cake, you need 3/4 of a cup to make 1 cake, but you need to make 7. So you're going to take 3/4 and multiply it times 7. So this is a multiplication problem. So if we were dividing, then that means we made all the cakes already, and that's how much butter was used. And then we would be trying to find how much butter is in each cake. So that's the difference between the 2. So before we start multiplying, what do you have to do to the 7? So what has to happen to the 7? Make it a fraction. 3/4 times 7 over 1. Easiest way to make something a fraction, put it over 1. So 3 times 7 is 21. 4 times 1 is 4. So you have 21 over 4 cups. And 21 over 4 can't be reduced, so that's your final answer. If you wanted to make it a mixed number, that's 5 and 1/4 cups. But either way is fine. Either way works. Any questions on 14 before we do the last example? Alright, 15. 3 members of the cross-country team ran 1 3/4 miles, 2 1/3 miles, and 1 5/6 miles for practice. Anyone on here doing cross-country, by the way? Anybody running cross-country? I don't know how many sports they moved to the spring. I know they moved football to the spring. I'm still sad about that, but. So, these are the miles that they ran. How many miles were ran in all? So, is this adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? This is definitely adding. So, 1 3/4 plus 2 1/3 plus 1 5/6. So I wrote mine going from left to right. If you're used to writing your fractions up and down for adding, that's fine. Do what is comfortable for you. So, I can't add these up now. Why? What's wrong with them? What do I need first? There you go. So let's make them a common denominator. So we need a denominator that 4, 3, and 6 will share. I heard 12. So let's roll with 12. I'm going to trust you. Alright, so what times 4 will give me 12? 3. So we got to multiply the top and the bottom by 3. Move on to the next part. What times 3 will give me 12? 4. So multiply the top and the bottom by 4. And then what times 6 will give me 12? 2. Sounds like it's time to replace the alarms on the smoke detector. I'm used to hearing that one. Hear it in my house all the time. So now the denominators are all the same, so we can add. 1 plus 2 plus 1, 4. 9 plus 4 is 13, plus 10 is 23 over 12. So 4, 23 over 12 miles. So, since this 4 is sitting here, we have to change 23 over 12. In this case, we don't have a choice. So leave the 4. 12 goes into 23 one time. So that's 1 and 11/12. So your answer is 5 and 11/12. And that's miles. questions on problem 15? Or any of the 11, 12, 13, 14, or 15?